Embark on a fascinating journey into the heart of Japan's sexual cultural practices, where tradition intertwines with taboo. Discover how ancient customs, celebrated for their cultural significance, now tread the fine line of modern societal norms. What secrets and stories lie behind these practices? Let's uncover them together. Number 1. Utagaki ceremony, evolution from harvest to romance. In the tapestry of Japanese culture, the Utagaki ceremony stands out as a vivid thread, weaving together the realms of agriculture, community, and intimate relationships. Originally conceived as a celebration of the harvest, this event transcended its agrarian roots to become a unique social gathering, fostering connections that blurred the lines between platonic and romantic. The ceremony's inception can be traced back to Japan's deep reverence for nature and the acknowledgement of the earth's bounty. Farmers and villagers would come together, giving thanks for a successful harvest through rituals and festivities. However, the essence of Utagaki evolved over time. What began as a communal thanksgiving gradually morphed into an opportunity for young men and women to meet in a context far removed from the watchful eyes of familial oversight. During these gatherings, participants engaged in various activities designed to showcase their virtues, talents, and desirability as partners. From poetry recitals that displayed wit and literacy to physical contests demonstrating strength and agility, the Utagaki ceremony became a multifaceted platform for courtship. This transformation was not merely a social development, but a reflection of the changing dynamics within Japanese society. The Utagaki ceremony, with its roots in agricultural celebration, became a conduit for expressions of individuality and romantic aspirations. In a society where arranged marriages and strict social hierarchies were the norms, the ceremony offered a rare breath of freedom, an oasis where personal connections could flourish outside the constraints of traditional matchmaking. Number 2. Shrine and temple events, sacred spaces for secular interactions. In the diverse landscape of Japanese culture, the intersection of the sacred and the secular reveals a fascinating dichotomy, particularly in the context of shrine and temple events. Historically, these spaces have not only been centers of spiritual worship, but also venues for social and, intriguingly, sexual interactions. This unique blend of religious solemnity with secular freedoms underscores a complex aspect of Japanese societal norms and traditions. Shrines and temples, revered as gateways to the divine, have played a pivotal role in Japanese life for centuries. They are places where the veil between the earthly and the spiritual is considered thin, where people come to seek blessings, purification, and a sense of community. Yet, within these hallowed grounds, events unfolded that would seem at odds with the sanctity of the space. Festivals and gatherings that encouraged and sometimes even facilitated adult sexual interactions. These events, often linked to seasonal festivals or religious celebrations, provided a socially sanctioned space for individuals to explore connections that went beyond the spiritual. The rationale behind such practices was deeply rooted in ancient beliefs regarding fertility, prosperity, and the cyclical nature of life and death. Sexual activity, within the context of these events, was seen not merely as a physical act, but as a symbolic gesture of fertility, a plea for abundant harvests, and the continuation of prosperity and well-being for the community. The rules and customs surrounding these interactions varied significantly from one locale to another, influenced by regional beliefs, the specific deity worshipped, and the nature of the festival. In some cases, the act of engaging in sexual relations was believed to bring direct blessings from the gods, imbuing the participants and their communities with vitality and luck. This belief system created an environment where the sacredness of the space and the secular nature of the interactions were not in conflict, but were intertwined, each enhancing the significance of the other. Number 3. Yobai, nighttime visits of desire. Yobai, translating to night crawling, is a Japanese tradition that illuminates the nuanced interplay between desire, courtship, and societal norms in rural Japan. This practice, deeply rooted in the fabric of Japanese rural life, offers a glimpse into an era where the night held secrets of love and longing, weaving a complex narrative of social customs and personal desires. The essence of yobai involves a young man sneaking into a woman's room under the cover of night for the purpose of engaging in sexual relations. Far from being a simple act of stealth and desire, yobai was embedded within the social structures and communal understandings of rural communities. It was an accepted, though covertly conducted, courtship practice that allowed young adults to explore potential partnerships within the constraints of a society that valued modesty and discretion in romantic affairs. This tradition was underpinned by a tacit communal consent. Families, while ostensibly unaware, often left doors unlocked or provided tacit indications of a woman's availability to participate in yobai. The practice was not merely about the fulfillment of sexual desires, but was also a critical step in the complex dance of courtship and marriage in rural Japan. It allowed women a measure of choice, albeit within a predefined social framework, and it offered men a way to demonstrate their interest and intentions. The implications of yobai on rural Japanese courtship and the transition to adulthood were profound. For young men, it was a rite of passage, a demonstration of their transition from youth to adulthood, marked not just by age but by participation in the communal, yet personal, acts of courtship. For women, it offered a space of agency, where the acceptance or refusal of a suitor's advances could determine the course of their personal and romantic lives. Number 4. Wakashudo, samurai bonds beyond the battlefield. Wakashudo, often translated as the way of youth or the way of the young, represents a profound and complex aspect of samurai culture, transcending the boundaries of mere mentorship to encompass intimate relationships between samurai warriors and their apprentices. This practice, deeply embedded in the martial ethos of feudal Japan, offers a fascinating lens through which to explore the nuances of samurai life, the shaping of warriors, and the fluidity of gender and sexual norms in historical Japanese society. At its core, Wakashudo was a form of mentorship where a seasoned samurai, ninja, would take a young male apprentice, wakashu, under his wing. This relationship was multifaceted, encompassing martial training, ethical instruction, and the intimate bond between the partners. The ninja was responsible not only for the wakashu's skill in combat, but also for his development as a moral and ethical being, guiding him in the ways of Bushido, the samurai code of honor. The intimate aspect of Wakashudo was both acknowledged and celebrated, seen as a natural and noble expression of the bond between the ninja and wakashu. These relationships were grounded in loyalty, respect, and mutual benefit. The wakashu received training and protection, while the ninja enjoyed the companionship and loyalty of his apprentice. Sexual relations in this context were not merely tolerated, but were viewed as an integral component of the relationship, embodying the ideals of masculinity and warrior camaraderie that defined samurai culture. However, it is crucial to understand Wakashudo within its historical and cultural context. This practice was not an outlier, but rather a part of a broader tapestry of gender and sexual norms in pre-modern Japan, where relationships between men were seen as an important aspect of social and personal development. Wakashudo reflected a society in which roles and relationships were fluid, and where the rigid heteronormative standards of later periods were not yet in place. Number 5. Yoshiwara and Edo's Pleasure Quarters, a forbidden city of lust. Yoshiwara, located in the heart of Edo, modern-day Tokyo, emerged as a legendary district known for its pleasure quarters. This enclave, sanctioned by the Tokugawa shogunate, became a symbol of both the containment and the cultural embrace of prostitution within a highly structured and controlled environment. The existence of Yoshiwara and its intricate role in the Edo period sheds light on the complexities of Japanese attitudes towards sexuality, entertainment, and the societal place of women. Yoshiwara was established in the early 17th century, initially envisioned as a means to regulate and confine prostitution to a specific area, away from the public eye and under strict governance. This regulation was not merely about moral concerns, but also about maintaining social order and hierarchy in rapidly urbanizing Edo. Yoshiwara became a walled district with its own rules and economy, thriving on the desires and fantasies it offered to those who could afford to enter its gates. Within its walls, Yoshiwara was more than just a place of carnal pleasures. It was a cultural center where arts such as music, dance, and poetry flourished. The courtesans, or oiran, were not merely prostitutes but highly skilled entertainers who embodied the ideals of beauty and wit. They underwent rigorous training in various arts to cater to the sophisticated demands of their clientele. The highest ranks of courtesans were celebrated figures, often influencing fashion and trends in the wider society. Number 6. Omiai. From matchmaking to modern marriage. The tradition of omiai, a formal matchmaking process, has been a cornerstone of Japanese matrimonial customs, tracing the journey from arranged marriages to contemporary romantic partnerships. Historically, omiai was not merely a practice but a cultural institution, facilitating unions that would strengthen familial alliances, ensure social stability, and perpetuate lineage. It was a pragmatic approach to marriage, prioritizing social, economic, and political considerations over personal affection. In traditional omiai, families, often with the assistance of a nakodo, matchmaker, would arrange meetings between potential spouses. These meetings were highly formal, with both parties presenting their best selves, much like a job interview, but for marriage. The emphasis was on the compatibility of the two families, rather than solely on the individuals involved. This process underscored the collective nature of marriage within Japanese society, where familial obligations and societal expectations often took precedence over individual desires. However, as Japan modernized, so too did its perceptions of love, marriage, and personal happiness. The post-war era, in particular, saw a significant shift towards more Western notions of romantic love as the basis for marriage. The economic boom and increased individualism of the late 20th century further encouraged this shift, leading to a decline in arranged marriages and a rise in love matches. Number 7. Nozoki, the thrill and taboo of peeping. Nozoki, or voyeurism, occupies a unique place in the tapestry of Japanese sexual culture, traversing the realms of cultural curiosity, artistic expression, and modern-day taboo. Historically, the practice of peeping or observing others without their consent for sexual gratification was not only prevalent but also interwoven with various aspects of Japanese art and folklore. This reflects a complex relationship with sexuality, where the act of watching was imbued with erotic significance. In traditional Japanese culture, nozoki was often romanticized or humorously depicted in ukiyo-e prints and kabuki theater, illustrating scenes of lovers, bathhouses, and intimate encounters. These representations served to normalize and, in some cases, celebrate the act of voyeurism, integrating it into the cultural fabric as a form of erotic art and entertainment. The boundary between public and private spaces was more fluid in historical Japan, with communal bathing and living arrangements offering ample opportunities for voyeuristic practices. However, the transition from a feudal to a modern society brought significant changes to the perception of nozoki. The introduction of Western norms and values, particularly those concerning privacy and individual rights, challenged traditional attitudes towards voyeurism. What was once a tolerated, if not entirely endorsed practice, became increasingly viewed as a violation of privacy and personal autonomy. Today, nozoki is unequivocally considered a criminal act, reflecting broader global norms that condemn voyeurism as an invasion of privacy. The advent of technology and the internet has further complicated the issue, with digital voyeurism emerging as a significant concern. The ease of capturing and disseminating images without consent has led to stricter laws and increased public awareness about the importance of privacy and consent. Number 8. Shunga, Edo's erotic expression. Shunga, the explicit art form that thrived during Japan's Edo period, 1603 to 1868, stands as a testament to the era's complex relationship with sexuality. These erotic woodblock prints, depicting a wide range of sexual scenes, were not merely titillating illustrations, but richly detailed works that offered insights into the sexual mores and societal norms of their time. Far from being marginalized, shunga was widely appreciated across various strata of society, transcending class and gender to become a popular and integral part of Edo culture. The acceptance of shunga during the Edo period can be attributed to the period's relatively open attitude towards sex. Shunga was considered both educational and entertaining, serving as a guide for couples in sexual pleasure and as a medium for enjoying the beauty of the human body. The art form was also believed to bring good luck, particularly to warriors before battle, highlighting its deep cultural significance beyond mere erotica. However, the transition into the Meiji period and the subsequent westernization of Japan brought about a drastic change in the perception of shunga. The new government's efforts to align Japan with Western morals and modernity led to the suppression of shunga, branding it as vulgar and incompatible with the country's new image. This marked the beginning of shunga's decline into obscurity, a status that would persist for much of the 20th century. Number 9. Nanshoku. Monastic love and its complex legacy. Nanshoku, or male-male relationships within the context of Buddhist monasteries, represents a facet of Japanese sexuality that intertwines deeply with religious, cultural, and social practices. Historically, these relationships were not only accepted, but institutionalized within certain schools of Buddhism in Japan. Nanshoku involved the bonds between a Buddhist monk and a younger acolyte or novice, blending spiritual mentorship with sexual intimacy. This practice, grounded in the belief that such relationships could foster spiritual and personal growth, reflects the nuanced views of sexuality and mentorship in pre-modern Japan. The acceptance of Nanshoku can be traced back to Japan's medieval period, when it emerged as an extension of the broader cultural acceptance of same-sex relationships among samurai and other social elites. In the monastic context, Nanshoku was rationalized through religious and philosophical frameworks, which posited that the absence of women made male-male relationships a practical solution to sexual desires, thus preventing the distraction of monks from their spiritual duties. However, the Meiji Restoration and Japan's subsequent modernization brought significant changes to the perception and practice of Nanshoku. The importation of Western legal and moral systems, which often criminalized homosexuality, combined with the modernization of Buddhist institutions, led to the stigmatization and decline of Nanshoku practices. The growing influence of Western notions of sexuality and morality saw Nanshoku being reinterpreted as deviant, marking a stark departure from its once accepted role in Japanese culture. Number 10. Concubinage, the shadows of social acceptance. Concubinage in Japan, a practice deeply ingrained in the fabric of feudal society, served as a complex institution that both reflected and reinforced the patriarchal values of the time. It allowed men, particularly those of high social status, to maintain multiple women in addition to a legal wife for the purposes of companionship, sexual relations, and producing heirs. This system was underpinned by social, economic, and familial considerations, with concubines often coming from lower social strata or as part of political alliances. The role of concubines was multifaceted. They could accrue significant influence within their households, and in some cases, their children could rise to prominent positions. However, the practice underscored the limited agency of women, framing them within the confines of male-centric family structures. The acceptance of concubinage highlighted the stratification of women based on their relationship to men, affecting their social standing and rights. The decline of concubinage in modern Japan can be attributed to several factors, including legal reforms, changing social norms, and the influence of Western values. The Meiji Restoration initiated a series of legal and societal changes aimed at modernizing Japan, including the promotion of monogamy as part of the new family system. These changes reflected a shift in the perception of marriage and family, increasingly seen through the lens of individual rights and mutual affection. Today, the historical practice of concubinage is a shadow in Japan's past, largely incompatible with contemporary values of equality and monogamy. Its decline has significant implications for women's rights and family structure, marking a departure from hierarchical and polygamous family models towards more egalitarian relationships. The transformation from concubinage to monogamy underscores a broader trend of modernization and democratization in Japanese society, highlighting the evolving roles and perceptions of women within the family and society at large. Number 11. Geisha and Maiko. Beyond the art of entertainment. The world of geisha and Maiko, often shrouded in mystery and misconception, represents a unique blend of art, tradition, and entertainment in Japanese culture. Far from the simplistic views that conflate their roles with that of sex workers, geisha and Maiko embody the height of cultural refinement and artistic expression. These women are trained in a myriad of traditional arts, including dance, music, and the art of conversation, dedicating their lives to the pursuit of perfection in their crafts. The distinction between geisha and Maiko is critical to understanding this cultural institution. Maiko, typically younger and in the early stages of their training, are apprentice geisha learning the skills necessary to navigate this complex world. The transition from Maiko to geisha is marked by a significant ceremony, symbolizing not only a change in status, but also a deepening commitment to their art. The relationships formed by geisha and Maiko with their patrons are often misunderstood. While these interactions may include private dinners and performances, they are grounded in the appreciation of the arts and the company of these highly skilled women. The financial support provided by patrons allows geisha and Maiko to continue their artistic endeavors, maintaining a tradition that dates back centuries. This system emphasizes the cultural value placed on their art and the role of geisha as custodians of tradition. In contemporary Japan, the world of geisha and Maiko faces challenges from modern entertainment options and changing social attitudes. However, their enduring presence speaks to the deep respect for tradition and artistry that characterizes Japanese culture. The continued fascination with geisha and Maiko, both within Japan and internationally, reflects a desire to connect with the elegance and depth of Japanese traditions. Number 12. Mizuage, a rite of passage reconsidered. The mizuage ceremony, once a rite of passage for Maiko, apprentice geisha, transitioning to full geisha status, encapsulates the complexity of tradition and the evolving consciousness around practices deemed exploitative. Historically, mizuage involved a patron sponsoring the Maiko, with the event often marking the loss of her virginity, a practice deeply entwined with financial aspects of the geisha's transition. This ceremony, while symbolizing a significant milestone in a Maiko's career, raises contemporary concerns regarding consent, autonomy, and the commodification of young women's bodies. In traditional contexts, mizuage was celebrated as a crucial step towards becoming a geisha, imbued with cultural significance and the promise of future success. However, the practice inherently reflected the patriarchal structures that dominated Japanese society, with young women's bodies becoming the medium through which financial and social gains were negotiated. Modern perceptions of mizuage have drastically shifted, with the practice now widely criticized for its exploitative implications. The transformation in societal values, particularly concerning women's rights and autonomy, has led to a reassessment and rejection of such rites of passage. Today's geisha culture has adapted, emphasizing artistic achievement and personal agency over practices that objectify women. Number 13. Love suicides, shinju, tragic romance, or societal failing. The phenomenon of shinju, or love suicides, occupies a poignant place in Japanese cultural history, blending the tragic with the romantic. Historically romanticized in literature and theater, such as in the works of Chikamatsu Monzemon, shinju tales depict the despair of lovers who, forbidden from being together due to societal constraints or familial opposition, choose death as the ultimate expression of their love. These stories, while highlighting the depth of romantic commitment, also reflect the rigid social structures that forced such tragic ends. Shinju, in its literary and real-life manifestations, raises profound questions about the societal norms that drive individuals to view death as their only escape from dishonor or separation. The romanticization of shinju in arts and literature underscores a complex cultural fascination with loyalty, honor, and the depths of human emotion. Yet, beneath the veneer of romantic idealization lies a critical commentary on the societal failings that contribute to such despair. In contemporary Japan, the perception of shinju has evolved, with a greater understanding of the psychological and societal pressures that lead to such tragic decisions. Modern interpretations tend to focus more on the critique of social constraints and the need for societal reform to prevent such tragedies. The shift from romanticization to critical reflection mirrors broader changes in Japanese society, including an increased emphasis on mental health and the recognition of individual rights over rigid social norms.